Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Amy and this is Polyreader. Today I'd like to go through the ever exciting 2018 wrap up. So I had a really good year last year. It is the perfect day to film, may I just say. It's like a really cool day here in Melbourne. It has been so hot lately. It's been really hard to sit down and film a video because, as you know, I'm quite pregnant, quite heavily pregnant. My body temperature is hotter than usual and it's been around 40 degrees a lot of the time. So each time I try and sit down and film, I can't do it. Hence the long sort of break that I've had. The last video I just put up recently was actually filmed in December. So it's been a while, but I'm back and I'm really excited to share my stats from 2018 and talk about my 2019 goals as well. So let's just get straight into it, hey? So in 2018, I made my goal 52 books. The reason I did this was that I knew that I could probably read 52. The year before I'd, read more than 52 books. And like a lot of other booktubers, or I shouldn't say like a lot of other booktubers and people in the bookish community on Instagram and whatnot, they do read quite an extensive amount of books each year. But for me, as a person who works quite a lot and does a lot of projects in my free time, it's kind of unrealistic for me to expect to read 100 plus books if I want to continue creating and doing the projects that I do in my life. So I kept it at 52 and I actually outdid that goal, which doesn't surprise me too much. I ended up reading 79 books. So additionally, I read about 27 books than my goal, which I think is pretty good. And overall, that's 20,822 pages. So it's interesting talking about book statistics, how many books we've read, how many pages we've read. I think that when it comes down to it, it's really not about how many books you're reading. It's about how many books that you are getting something out of, that you're enjoying, that you're maybe not enjoying, but maybe learning something from. I think reading is more than just a relaxing, pleasurable thing for me. I like to educate myself and to learn and to see new perspectives. So I think while putting down a book that you're not getting along with, maybe prose-wise, because you don't want to be wasting time on something that you're really not getting much out of and you want to be able to pick up a book, there needs to be something engaging you. So maybe that's the concept, the story, the writing style. There's so much that goes into it, but I think we get so fixated on how many books we've read each year and how many we need to read each year, and I don't think that that is an ideal goal for me. I think for me the ideal goal is 52 books because it's realistic. You never know what's going to happen in life. I'm having a baby this year, so who knows, I might read 20 books this year. I doubt it because I've already read 9, but still, it's a complex topic, and I think there's more to reading than the amount of books. And then there's, people who read small children's books and include them in their reading wrap-ups. And reading books of the year. And then, there's people who read books that are 1,000 pages, and so one children's book is essentially the same as someone else reading a book that's 1,000 pages long. So it's so much more complex than that. And I just wanted to comment on that straight up because people do say to me, how do you read so many books? And honestly, last year I didn't read a lot of huge books. I think maybe 1 or 2 books were more than 500 pages. And they were both from series, so they were obviously going to be quite engaging and compelling. Yes, interesting topic. Tell me what you think about it down below, because I would like to talk about that more without rambling too much in this video. Let's move on. So let's talk about the stats, my shelf stats for the year of 2018. So how I obtained the books that I read, 17.7% were from the library. I think that's pretty good. My to be read shelf, books that I owned prior to the year and that I needed to read because they've been on there for too long. 18.9%, which I'm pretty happy with. Books that were gifts, or I won them, or I was sent them by the publisher, 17.7%. And purchases, 45.5%. So I am certainly hoping to read a lot less purchased books this year. That's a huge goal, but I'll talk about that in the other video. So all in all, about 50% of my books were unpurchased, which is pretty good. I'd like to do better. So author origin, 41.7% were Australian authors. That makes me happy because this channel was originally started to sort of give voice to Aussie authors. So I think I could even push that a little bit higher. As I was saying about author origin, please excuse me looking down. I just have all the stats on my phone here. So 29% USA authors, USA-based authors. 25% European, so that's anywhere in Europe. 3.7% Asian authors, and a very low 1.2% African and 1.2% Caribbean authors. So those are things that I would need to work on this year. Diversity. So books in translation, 6.3%. Definitely need to up that. Female, 86%. This makes me quite happy because, as you know, this channel is definitely based or originated through me wanting to see more of a presence for Australian and female authors, essentially, in literary fiction, modern fiction, contemporary adult fiction, and non-fiction. So 86% is a good number. 13.9% male authors. So I am still reading male authors. Don't worry about that if that's what you're concerned about. But I am certainly preferencing female authors. People of colour, 20.2%. This is okay. It could be much better. LGBTQI authors, 11.3%. Again, I could do much better in this regard. So when we come to format, I'm not sure if this interests you, but it interests me, so I'm just going to read out my stats for format. 75.9% of the books I read were in hard copy, paperback or hardback. 18.9% were audiobooks, and 5% were on my Kindle. This is quite funny because I got a Kindle in 2017 for my birthday. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to get a Kindle. I'm going to be environmentally friendly. I'm going to try and read as many books as I can on the Kindle. I think I read 4 books last year, or 5 books on the Kindle. And I DNF'd maybe 4 or 5 as well. And I just know that I read better and I read more when I read paperback. I'm not sure why. It's something about, I guess, the nostalgia of my childhood, of the feeling of and the smell of a book. I just can't get that satisfaction out of a Kindle. If it's a really good book, I find that I still am able to plow through it on a Kindle. But yeah, it's just, I'm saving it for those books that I have already got on Kindle, or so there's no need to buy a paperback, or books that are quite long, like Q1884, which my husband read a couple of years ago. That's such a huge book. It's like 3 in 1. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a Murakami book. And he read it in hard copy. I actually owned a copy of it. It was just too big for me to hold these little wrists. I couldn't hold it up at night especially. So I gave it away and I'm planning on reading that on the Kindle. So it is good in some cases, but it's definitely not my preference. Okay, so then we get to star rating. My average star rating for the year was 3.92%, which is, 3.9 stars, which is really good. I actually had quite an amazing reading year. I really loved a lot of the books that I read. 24 of the books were 5-star reads for me out of 79, so that's huge. 31 were 4 stars. I must say sometimes I round up from 3.5 to 4 just because I feel like it benefits the author. on Goodreads for their statistics. So some of those were probably 3.5, but we'll just say 4. 19 of the books were 3 stars, 4 books were 2 stars, and 1 book was 1 star. So I think what we can see here is that I generally don't finish books that I'm not enjoying. I DNF'd 14 books, so they are unrated and they're not included in any of these stats. Some of those I read half of the book, but I don't rate them because I didn't finish it, and I don't think it's fair to finish a book, to not finish a book and still give a rating, because you just never know what's going to happen in the parts that you haven't read. So that is essentially my breakdown of statistics. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I also wrote down, I also tracked what the amount of books each month I read were. And it's interesting because it varies quite a lot. I'm not going to read them all out. But in December I read 14 books, but essentially that means I finished 14 books. So a lot of books I finished in December I had been reading throughout the year, and I just wanted to end them at the end of the year and start fresh. So some were short stories, some were like, you know, non-fiction that I'd started somewhere along the way. And then you look at August, and I finished 0 books in August. That was just a tough month for me mentally. I had a hard time that month, and you can definitely see it with my reading stats. So this is another reason I don't really like to focus too much on numbers, because when it comes to how much you're reading, because some months are going to be better than others, some weeks, some days are going to be better than others. You know, I think statistically, if you analyze the pages I've read for the year, I think it's about 50 or 60 a day when you work it out. But some days I really do read 100, 200 pages, 300 maybe, and some days I'm reading none. So it all sort of balances out at the year, and I think the end of the year, and I think that's why I love these videos, because I like to break things down and just look at it at the big picture and see what needs to be improved and what's working, and, you know, look at the years as they go by. And I don't know, there's something so satisfying and refreshing, and I love watching everyone else's videos about it. If you have a video about your statistics, I would really love to watch it if I haven't already commented. Thanks so much for watching. I'm now going to film my 2019 goals video, just to keep them nice and short, and I will see you there. Thanks everyone, bye.